Hey guys, today we're talking about 240 frames per second on the Sony A7S III. Come on, come on. Oh, that was athletic. Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. Today's is gonna be a little bit different, a little bit more casual, less me sitting in front of the computer, and we're actually gonna go on an adventure today. I'm about to go meet Jacob downtown, and we're gonna try to find something worth shooting in 240 frames per second, cause I don't wanna film anything slow in slow motion. So I'm thinking skaters, athletes, people running, working out. That's usually the vibe at Railroad Park downtown. So that's the mission. Yeah, if we can't find anybody moving quickly, I'm not sure what we're gonna do. I also do want to run through a couple things about the 240 FPS on this camera. Number one, I have a list of issues with 240 frames per second. Number two, I want to lay out when and why you really should use 240 frames per second. Is it worth using? And then finally, I actually recently used it on a client project, and I shot a lot of pretty important like hero shots in 240 frames per second, and I wasn't super sure if they were gonna be usable. Like I would shoot them in 120 and then shoot them in 240 because I'd rather them be really slow, but I wasn't sure about the quality, the autofocus, the resolution, only being at 1080. I just wasn't sure if it was gonna work out. If you've never had one of these little applesauce squeezy things, they're pretty freaking good. I mean, they kind of have like a baby food consistency, which is like disgusting, but yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, so today I'm gonna let you know, is the 240 frames per second in this camera good enough to use on a client project? Because I would think that's the ultimate test. If I'm willing to use it on a project that someone is giving me money and trusting me to give them a quality product, I'd say it's pretty dang good. But we'll get into that. I'll let you know all the details, and I hope this video helps you out. If it does, hit like down below, helps me grow the channel. Let's go freaking shoot something. I'm really excited to go shoot. Let's do it.
Love you. Be right back. He literally does this every time I leave. It's so sad.
Okay, we're at the park. We're gonna go check out the skate bowls, try to find some skaters, and get some gnarly skate footage.
Yeah, gnarly, 100%. The gnarlier the better, actually.
So, Jacob, what's your favorite frame rate to film on?
Probably 30.
Jacob's a photographer, so he doesn't really use frame rates, do you?
Yeah, not all that often, but when I do, 30 is my go-to. If I really want to get spicy, then like maybe 127. But there's a skater and one guy on a moped.
Mopeds are dope.
Right?
Okay, so we found some skaters. They're really cool.
Very cool.
We were there for a hot minute because I realized landing a trick while you're skateboarding, it doesn't happen every single time. So hopefully we got some cool footage. Oh, that was a good time. Pretty sure we got all the footage we need. Either way, super cool people. But anyway, let's jump into the more informational part of this video. So my issues with it, they're pretty small. Like it's just a few annoying things. Number one, you can only use it in the SNQ mode, which means you can't set it to one of the custom functions. Just annoying, and it's not usually how I work and how I film. Number two, it's in 1080 and not 4K. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with 1080. But when I got this camera, I was like, oh yeah, like now I'm full 4K. I'm 4K 24, 4K 60, 4K 120. And there is, again, just something convenient about shooting one resolution the whole time, dropping it all into the same timeline, or knowing that I can crop all of my clips to a pretty significant amount if I'm editing on a 1080 timeline. Overall, not that big of a deal, just a thing. Number three, shooting 240 frames per second means I have to set my shutter speed to 1/500th of a second, and that's dark. Like this right here is at 1/50th of a second, ISO 400, I mean, good window light. But let's just bump that down to 1/500th of a second, and now I'm almost 2 full stops underexposed. it's not a good time. And when we were out shooting downtown, not a big deal, the sun is out, but a lot of the stuff that I'm wanting to use super slow-mo for is product stuff, in studio stuff, which means I have to get literally every light I can find and just max them out. It makes lighting a little bit more difficult because instead of having a lot of room to play with your lights, they're basically all on full blast, especially if you're using a macro lens where you have to close up the aperture to get what you want in focus. And last, but definitely not least, with this camera specifically, you really need to buy the CF Express card to shoot in 240. You can do it with the V90 SD cards, which I have, a Lexar V90 SD card that consistently fails on me, freaks me out, tells me my memory is lost, my data is lost. I've been able to recover it every time, but it's a hassle. If you're gonna shoot 240, get the CF Express card. Also because the read and write speeds are super fast, much faster than the SD card. On the SD card I'm using, I'll record a clip, hit cut, and then I have to wait anywhere from like 7 to 20 seconds, depending on how long I was filming, to be able to film again. Because if I try to film again, the camera will be like, oh, I'm writing the data to the card still. It's taking a while. I was cheap. I didn't want to spend another $400 on a memory card. If you're gonna get it, just go ahead and get the CF Express card. You'll thank yourself. I really like just sitting on the ground and filming these YouTube videos. This might be the new vibe. Next section, probably the most important, when and why should you use 240? Okay, the coolest thing and the thing that blows my mind and a lot of people's about slow motion is that it gives you a perspective that you can't normally get with your eyes. And honestly, that's kind of half of all visual art, is showing humans something they can't normally see when they walk outside. Like when you see a hummingbird flying, you can't see its individual wings. When you see someone do a kickflip, you're not gonna be able to sit there and take it in and analyze it and appreciate it the same way you can when it's slowed down to 10% of its speed. Like looking at this shot, you can see exactly how his front foot is moving, his back foot, even the way like his legs are moving, the board is moving. You can see literally everything. And there's a lot of value in that. But at the base level, your brain is just like, whoa, I've never seen that before. And 240 specifically is literally twice as slow as 120, and it makes a massive difference. Like check out the same clip. This one slowed down to 20%. This one slowed down to 10%. It's such a game changer. A few specific examples, I would say sports, cooking, a lot of product stuff. I'm a super big fan of when people use super slow motion in food and product videos, which brings us to the big question. Would I use this on a client project? If someone was to pay me money and trust me with their work and with their money, do I think it's good enough to use? And the answer is absolutely yes. On this camera specifically, it's insane because you can still use the full autofocus functions. You can track, you can literally tap on the screen what you want to shoot, and the autofocus is really, really good, which is amazing at such a high frame rate. And in the end, I think that the wow factor, the perspective that you're opening people up to, far outweighs any of the cons. It outweighs the fact that it's in 1080 and not 4K, because no one's gonna care what the resolution of your video is in if they're watching something that is amazing them. If they're like, wow, I've never seen that before, they're not gonna be like, but is it in 4K? So all in all, if you have this camera, if you're thinking about getting it, try the 240. It's a super cool feature that not a lot of cameras at this level have, and it genuinely opens up a whole new type of filmmaking. Y'all, this was a super fun video for me to make. If you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed our adventure, if you learned something, please hit like down below. It helps me grow this channel, which y'all have just been amazing at doing. I freaking love making YouTube videos. If you wanna see more, hit subscribe down below, join the family, and that's all I have for y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.